Hello viewers, welcome to Newsweek South Asia, a program that talks about breeding of terrorism and its impact on South Asian nations. Let's begin with the headlines first. Taliban Pakistan returns to violent ways in Pakistan poses bigger challenge to government. New Delhi says it cannot have talks with Pakistan till it continues supporting cross-border terrorism. And LAT terror threats loom large over Kashmiri pundits. The Pakistani Taliban has ended a months-long ceasefire with the government in Islamabad, ordering its fighters to resume attacks across the country, where scores of deadly strikes have been blamed on the insurgent group. The latest development comes months after the Afghan Taliban started hosting negotiations in the capital Kabul between the TTP and representatives from the Pakistani government and security forces. A report.
The Taliban Pakistan has announced an end to their truce with the Pakistani government. This has triggered a severe security concern in an already highly volatile country. The Taliban has claimed that its armed fighters are ready to take revenge against Pakistani security forces and government installations that it blames for targeting ordinary Afghans. This poses a challenge to the newly appointed army chief, General Asim Munir, as the TTP has accused the Pakistani army and intelligence agencies of relentless operations in violation of their previous truce. The TTP said it had exercised restraint for too long to keep the negotiation process on track, but the Pakistani government didn't honor their side of the agreement.
This was inevitable because the Taliban Pakistan has been using negotiations essentially as a tactical ploy. They have declared the Pakistan state murtad, it is an apostate state. It is an un-Islamic state and it has to be destroyed. This is part of their ideological foundation. And they are committed to the establishment of a Sharia-based state in Pakistan.
The Pakistani Taliban have already begun spilling blood. A suicide bomber recently exploded his explosive-laden rickshaw near a police truck in Balochistan's Quetta city. A police officer and 3 civilians were killed, and 24 others were seriously injured in the attack claimed by the Taliban Pakistan. In another incident, the Pakistan embassy in Kabul was also attacked, allegedly by the TTP. A Pakistani security guard was wounded by shots fired at the embassy by a lone attacker. While condemning the incident, Islamabad called it an assassination attempt on the head of the mission, Ubaydur Rehman Nizamani. The challenges are infinite, as Islamabad has failed to adequately deal with terror groups in the country. For decades, the Pakistani army has trained and financed many designated terrorist organizations. Now, the country faces high threats from homegrown terrorists.
The Pakistan army has also sought a peaceful settlement with the TTP. They want to absorb them into the system. Now, prior to the Lal Masjid crisis under Musharraf, certainly the Lal Masjid orthodoxy was supported by the army at that time. But when the army eventually attacked Lal Masjid, killed one of the top leaders in Lal Masjid, that was the source of the foundation of the Taliban Pakistan.
The Taliban's takeover in Kabul of last year has strengthened the Pakistani Taliban, who remain eager to continue their fight in the country. The Taliban Pakistan, headed by Mufti Nur Wali Masood, has been encouraged by the Afghan Taliban's victory over foreign forces. It is now hopeful that it too will be able to defeat the Pakistani government and establish Islamic rule throughout the country. Pakistan, already severely economically and politically unstable, is in a weak position to deal with terrorist groups within its territory. Many are left wondering what will transpire next. Will the Pakistani government revive the negotiation process with the TTP, or ask its army to intensify operations against the Taliban fighters? The stakes are high, however, and in either scenario, the Pakistani people will continue to bear the brunt of this violence.
India reminded the global community that it was in its interest that Pakistan continue to take credible, verifiable, irreversible and sustained action against terrorism and terror financing emanating from territories under its control. However, in October, Pakistan was removed from the Financial Action Task Force's grey list. India has made it clear that it will never agree to have a dialogue with Pakistan as long as its West neighbour continues to support cross-border terrorism.
The 14th anniversary of the gruesome Mumbai terror attacks has gone by without its perpetrators being brought to justice. Those massacred belong to many nationalities, yet Pakistan has escaped international pressure to try those involved in planning and committing this heinous crime. In 2008, Mumbai terror attack that brought India and Pakistan to the brink continues to remain as a wall of distrust between the two countries. India has made it clear that it will never agree to have a dialogue with Pakistan as long as its western neighbor continues to support cross-border terrorism.
Regarding Pakistan, I spent some time with the minister outlining, the nature of our ties, the challenge of cross-border terrorism, and essentially the fact that we engage Pakistan bilaterally on whatever outstanding issues. But the main challenge today is really the fact that we cannot have talks while there is terrorism. And I think there was understanding from the German side in this regard.
In October, Pakistan was removed from the Financial Action Task Force's grey list. India reminded the global community that it was in its interest that Pakistan continue to take credible, verifiable, irreversible and sustained action against terrorism and terror financing emanating from territories under its control. Pakistan had been on the FATF's grey list twice before and was removed despite maintaining its terrorist infrastructure. With the radicalization that has occurred in Pakistan, visible in the street power of the Islamist groups, that the political establishment has not been able to handle without compromises. India remains vulnerable with Pakistan and a Talibanized Afghanistan next door, not to mention the emergence of the Islamic State elements there. By maintaining the focus on terrorism, India is indirectly maintaining pressure on Pakistan to contain its terrorist proclivities. India has called other nations to take action on those who support, encourage, and finance terrorism.
Last week, the victims of the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks were remembered in India and several other countries. Be it Mumbai or Mosul, India strongly believes that the credibility of our collective fight against terrorism can be strengthened only when we can ensure accountability for the grave and inhuman acts of terror committed by terrorists and take strong measures against those who encourage, support, and finance terrorism.
Pakistan, since the advent of India's independence in 1947, consistently follows an anti-India stance in all its politico-strategic formulations. Islamabad's policies towards India are nothing but myopic and self-destructive in nature. Perhaps to them, being blindly anti-India in every facet of external and neighborly relations is the raison d'etre for their existence. The negativity of the two-nation theory continues to drive their mindsets towards India. Realizing that it cannot halt India's march towards the latter's economic progress and rise as a regional and global power, Pakistan has been creating terrorist-related problems for India in Jammu and Kashmir, as also other forms of cross-border provocations.
Let's turn our attention to Afghanistan, where the intensified efforts are fueling concern that the country might again become a hub of instability across South Asia and beyond. The war-torn country has been witnessing spate of attacks in the past few months. Scores of Afghan civilians have been killed in bomb blasts, some of which have been claimed by the Islamic State. On December 6, a blast hit a vehicle carrying oil workers in the northern province of Balkh. 7 people were killed and 6 others have been injured in the explosion. A report. Since the Taliban group took power in Afghanistan in August of last year, a string of deadly bombings and number of violent attacks have convulsed the country. On December 6th, a blast hit a vehicle carrying oil workers in northern province of Balkh. 7 people were killed and 6 others have been injured in the explosion. The bomb was placed inside a cart by the side of the road and detonated when a bus belonging to the Hiratan Gas and Petroleum Department was taking government employees to work. A police team also arrived in the area to find the cause of the blast, whether it was an accident or the result of an attack. Images posted on social media from the scene in Balkh show a damaged bus and another vehicle along with several carts and fruit stalls lying scattered by the roadside following the explosion. The cause of the blast was not immediately clear and no group has yet claimed responsibility for the attack.
کارمندای و خال مامورای دولتی بودن. پلیس آمد انفجار کرد. حتما پشتم داشته باشه و خبر نداریم ما. بارزو آمد، طالبان آمد، مجاهدین آمد، دیگه ارگانهای دولتی آمد. زخمی‌ها رو بردن خانه. سرک‌ها رو پاک‌کاری کردن.
Meanwhile, another explosion occurred in the eastern Afghan city of Jalalabad on the same day as the Balkh explosion. The blast injured at least 6 people near the money exchange market. Although no group has yet claimed responsibility for this explosion either, the war-torn nation has seen recently a number of attacks staged by Islamic State. Islamic State has emerged as the most potent enemy of the Taliban, who seized control over Afghanistan last year. The two groups are now engaged in a murky and bloody battle. The security situation in the country, which had improved after the end of fighting following the Taliban takeover, is seen to be deteriorating. Time and again, experts all around the world have expressed their concerns on the importance of finding constructive approaches to ensure peace and stability in Afghanistan, as well as tackling regional terrorism threats. Recently, India, the all-weather friend of Afghanistan, expressed its concerns on the regional security situation in light of recent events in Afghanistan, also discussed strategies for addressing the country's security concerns and assisting Afghans in promoting peace, security and stability.
The persistence of terrorist networks in the region, including in Afghanistan, is also a matter of deep concern. Financing is the lifeblood of terrorism, and countering terror financing should be an equal priority for all of us. We should also call on all UN members to fulfill obligations enshrined in the relevant counter-terrorism conventions and protocols, and refrain from providing any form of support to entities or persons involved in terrorist acts.
Afghanistan is going through a very difficult time, and the de facto rulers in the war-torn country are not willing to listen to what world leaders are demanding. Instead, they are playing blame game. On one hand, they are violating human rights in the country, and on the other hand, the regime is holding West responsible for all the challenges country facing at the moment. Taliban rulers are not ready to accept the fact that in the absence of conservative ideology, situation in Afghanistan would have been in a much better situation. The shadow of terror continues to loom over the Kashmir Valley, and those who were driven out by Islamic terrorists are in the line of fire once again now amid targeting Kashmiri pundits who simply aim to reclaim their home in the Kashmir Valley. Fresh panic has gripped the Hindu community after the terror group TRF, a front of the Lashkar-e-Taiba, released a list of 56 Kashmiri Pandits, government employees, vowing to eliminate them. A report.
The story of Kashmiri Pandits' persecution that began 3 decades ago continues undeterred even today. Kashmir Hindus are once again getting swamped in the horror times of the 90s. Recently, Kashmiri Fight blog, the mouthpiece of the resistant front, Pakistan's new terror outfit and an offshoot of the Lashkar-e-Taiba group, has issued threats and released a so-called hit list with the names of 56 Kashmiri Hindus. These Kashmiri Hindus are employees working as teachers under the Prime Minister's rehabilitation package in the Kashmir Valley. In an open letter, the Islamic terror organization pledged to continue targeting Kashmir's Hindus. They ranted about how the non-locals and Kashmiri Hindus were stealing employment and land from Kashmir. The terror group further stated that Delhi is imposing a fascist Hindutva ideology on Kashmir and Kashmiris, which they will not tolerate. TRF also vowed to continue attacking Hindus who are maligning the atmosphere of the valley. The warning letter targeting these employees has instilled fear among the remaining Kashmiri Pandits working in various government departments, prompting them to stage a protest.
जैसे कि आपको पता है कि ये थ्रेट लेटर्स हमें लगातार इशू हो रही थी पहले, जिनमें हमें एज ए हिंदुत्व के फॉलोअर्स माना जाता था, ये राष्ट्रवाद इंडियन ये एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के स्टूडेंट्स माना जाता था। लेकिन आज जो कल लिस्ट निकली है उसमें बाज़ाब्ता नाम दिए गए हैं हमारे 57 एम्प्लॉयज़ के, जो कि श्रीनगर डिस्ट्रिक्ट में काम कर रहे हैं। तो ये एक दर्शाता है कि हम लोगों की स्थिति वहाँ भी कैसी है, हम लोग किस खतरे में वहाँ पे जी रहे हैं।
In the last few months, incidents of targeted killings have increased rapidly in Jammu and Kashmir. As per media reports, at least 6 members of the minority community were killed in targeted attacks this year. The victims have been local policemen, Hindu and Sikh government workers, as well as non-locals working in the valley. Of late, terrorist handlers sitting in Pakistan have changed their strategy as far as attacks and targeted killings are concerned. They are now concentrating mainly on soft targets. Furthermore, for targeted killings, Islamabad is using local Kashmiri youths who do not have any prior criminal records. By getting targeted killings done through these youths, the masterminds sitting in Pakistan can easily avoid their involvement by calling it a local matter.
Ever since the talk of return of Kashmiri Pandits was going on, and the Parliament, Indian Parliament has also discussed this, Pakistan, to send out a clear message to these Kashmiri Pandits that they are not welcome into the valley, has targeted killings of Kashmiri Pandits. This again has raised a little bit of fear amongst them. All this is being done so that the Kashmir valley seems to be unsettled. The people over there do not get into the complacency of having peace. Tourists don't come there, the business establishments don't function, and there is a sense of uncertainty that is there, so that Pakistan can use its propaganda that it has been using all these years to try to wean away the public of Kashmir.
Kashmir was witnessing the return of peace once again, and people had understood that terrorism and separatism cannot flourish in Jammu and Kashmir. This is the biggest pain for Pakistan, which has been trying to internationalize the Kashmir issue for over 7 decades. By creating a communal rift, it wants to give few more days of life to the dying terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir. It also wants to reinstate fear in the minds of common Kashmiri people that to get killed, one need not to be an influential person. Being from a minority community is sufficient enough. Their tactics are kill one and scare 1,000. That is how they succeeded in hounding out the entire population of Kashmiri Pandits from their root of more than 5,000 years engraved in the soil of the valley. However, such barbaric terror acts will not succeed in undermining Jammu and Kashmir's development journey, as people in Kashmir will not let this conspiracy succeed.
And with that, we come to the end of this edition of Newsweek South Asia. We will be back next week with more news, views and analysis from the subcontinent. Meanwhile, do keep writing to us at nwsa@anin.com. This is Shivangi Mishra signing off on the behalf of the entire production team of Newsweek South Asia. Goodbye and take care.